Hello, everyone. It's time for us to do some planning for quarter four, isn't it? We want to make sure that we finish this year strong. Now, before I even deep dive in this training, what I want to warn you about is that what I prepared for you today, the process that I'm going to guide you through, is a lot of work. Okay, it's a lot of work because it's so thorough. It leads you really step by step to everything you need to know, everything you need to do to set goals for Q4 and to ensure that you achieve those goals. So this process, I want you to consider it as an investment in yourself, investment in your time, investment in your well-being, right? Investment in your future. This is how I would like you to see planning, because this is essentially what planning really is all about. It's investing in yourself and your future, right? And more you invest in yourself, you invest in your future, better will you be able, or more you will be able to give to the world around you. All right. So I really want you to take this process and this work very seriously. And I can almost promise, because I don't like to promise, but I can almost promise that if you do go through this step-by-step process, you are going to be where you wish to be by the end of this year. Okay. And we don't have so much time left. We have less than 3 months if we consider all the holiday season, all the holiday days and everything that's coming up. All right. So let's get right onto it. Now, just a quick side note. In addition to this training, you will get also a workbook. If you don't get it, please comment below and I'm going to send it over to you. So the workbook is going to guide you every step of the process. So every time I will teach you the step, right? And then you can refer to the workbook where you can go and do the exercise for yourself in a very structured and clear way. All right. So let's go into it. Okay. So let's firstly see quickly, let's reflect on where you are right now, right? So we are now at the time of the year, October is just around the corner and all this stress is suddenly coming up, right? There is just like, we kind of realize, oh no, we have 3 more months to achieve our yearly targets, right? So this is all this rush is coming up now. You are chasing up different assignments, chasing up different meetings. There's so many unpredictable meetings and tasks and maybe like colleagues coming up and asking for all sorts of stuff, right? So it's very, very hard for some people to, how can I say, be immune really to overall stress that is going on around, right? So you're in need to meet various deadlines in order to achieve your yearly targets. You're highly impacted by stressful environment and colleagues, as I mentioned before, right? Some people a bit more, some people a bit less, but hardly can you be in such an environment and not be impacted by it, right? The question is only really to what degree. You might be finding it hard to focus because there's just so much going on. You don't know what to do next. You don't know what to prioritize. There are things, it feels like everything has come from once, everything is happening at the same time, right? So you don't know what to prioritize. What is the next thing on your tasks that you want to do? So what I often see is I see people multitasking, people trying to do all at once. And we know that by trying to do all at once, you kind of end up doing nothing in a way, right? Or maybe not to the high quality as you would wish it to be. What else is you're half in the holidays mood, not moon, holidays mood already, right? Like Christmas is just around the corner. All those bank holidays that are coming up. People are already planning their vacations and holidays, etc. So you're half with your mind already there. You might be lacking motivation. You might be feeling as if you might need this extra push to finish the year strong. What I often also hear is, especially in this time of the year, is kind of, I feel tired, I feel exhausted with everything that has been going on, especially also after the pandemic, right? There is a lot of stuff was going on, right? A lot of events and so forth. So you might be really exhausted and really looking for this extra boost, extra motivation. And this is what I want to offer to you today. This is the process that I'm going to lead you through that's going to help you get that extra push that you might be needing at the moment. So what you need now is firstly and foremost, protect yourself, protect your time, protect your energy, and protect your team. right? Because if you don't take time to do that, if you don't protect yourself, your well-being, you're gonna be running on empty. And running on empty, we know it's not sustainable, especially not long-term. You don't want to come to your holiday season and be completely destroyed. You want to be with your family, you want to be with your friends, and you want to really be there with them. You want to be fully present with them. All right. And in order for you to do that, you need to protect your time and energy very, very much. Right. And we're going to do that again by creating this process, or by going through the process and creating goals and strategies for you. What you also need is you need to regain clarity and control over your schedule. Not everything is urgent. Not everything is important, right? So when I have my clients saying to me, like, for example, I feel overwhelmed, there is so much going on, and I'm like, all right, let's specify, let's put it down, let's see what's important, what's urgent. And they're like, everything. No. Not everything is important and urgent. You need to be strict to yourself and really identify what is truly important right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Okay? You want to goal set and you want to anticipate in advance. So apart from your goals, what else can come up? There are always a lot of unpredictable things coming up, right? So depending what industry you're in, depending your role, you might know more or less at least what might come up. And you want to also keep that in mind when goal setting and when planning. You want to make sure that you communicate your goals and plans in the right way. What I mean by that is, first and foremost, you need to be able to set those goals in a clear way that you really understand them and that you understand the importance. And this is what we will do together in a moment, right? And then you want to make sure that the people around you, your team, your boss, your business in general, knows what you're working towards, so that you're all on the same page, right? You want to make sure that there are no misunderstandings, that there are no assumptions, that there are no maybes, but that you know exactly that all of you are on the same page, working towards the same goal. All right. And you are going to do that. You're going to be able to do that. You're going to be able to communicate clearly once you are clear about what needs to be done. All right. So when I see, for example, clients telling me I'm not sure how to communicate that, I always know that means because they aren't sure, firstly in their mind, right? So you need to be sure in your mind first, so that you can get the message across in the right way, and so that the message can be clear for the others, right? You want to be realistic on what can be done in the next 3 months. Right? Sometimes I see people setting completely unrealistic goals. We have 3 months until the end of the year, right? And we know that this time of the year is very special. A lot of holidays coming up, a lot of, different things coming up and so forth, depending on your situation, right? So what is realistic for you to achieve in the next 3 months? You don't want to have 20 goals, right? You don't want to overwhelm yourself with your goals before you even start working on that. Okay, so not, again, everything is important and urgent right now. So for this period of the year, for this situation you are, what is important and can be done or needs to be done in the next 3 months? And then you go ahead and create a step-by-step plan for it, okay? You want to delegate, you want to ask for support. Again, often I hear people not asking for support because they might be afraid, they might come across as incompetent, or as if they cannot do it, or as they're not able, or right? Asking for support is not something to be ashamed of. We all need support, right? By asking for support, you are engaging others and you're helping them and helping yourself. It's a beautiful thing to ask for support. We don't need to be doing things ourselves. We don't. Even if you can do them, you don't have to do everything yourself, all right? This is something I struggled with a lot and still struggle here and there, right? So we don't need to be doing everything ourselves, all right? Also, so asking for support and delegating. Who is the right person who can help me with XYZ, all right? What you also need is to remove any distractions. Anything that doesn't serve you at this point in time needs to go away, right? And sometimes that's hard, but it doesn't mean you will not come back to that later, all right? We are just removing it temporarily so that you can help yourself get to where you need to be, Okay. And that goes hand in hand with setting boundaries. Saying no, which is such a big deal for some, I know, but it's so important, right? And the thought that I want to offer here for you is that saying no is not something that you do against someone, okay? Saying no is something you do for yourself, all right? So it has nothing to do with somebody else, and it has to do with you. You're doing this because you know that saying no will help you. It's also an investment kind of a thing, right? Also, what I like to think about is that, like, if I tell you yes and I mean no, I'm being dishonest, and that's not fair, right? So you want to be transparent, you want to be honest, you want to be kind. And if you just cannot do it right now, or you don't want to do it right now, or it doesn't serve you, or it's a distraction, you say no, and you can explain, but not justify yourself, right? But explain. It's a no because, right? And sometimes we know that other people ask us for different things, even though they can do it ourselves, right? So just like handing someone a solution is not often helpful, right? It's more helpful to help them get to their solution themselves, all right? And another thing that I put here, because I know this is something that's a lot of people leave for the last moment, it's book holiday days and vacations in advance, right? Really, you need to do that, because this is also kind of, I remember back in the day when I used to work in a 9 to 5 job, right? It was an extra motivation for me, right? Oh, I have holidays coming up. I look forward to it. You can plan, right? It's some kind of a bit of a distraction from work, right? And it's a beautiful things to look forward to. Okay, so we're gonna go into the process now, a 4-step process that I prepared for you. I want you to just note that we're gonna talk about it, as you've noticed so far, probably, in a career setting. Okay, I'm gonna talk about a professional setting when it comes to going through this 4-step process. But you can use essentially the same process if and when you're setting your private goals. All right, it's literally the same process. Of course, you might need to adjust here and there, but the idea is the same. All right, so again, we're going to be talking about the career setting because I am a career coach, right? But you can use this in a private goal setting as well. All right, so let's start with step 1. Firstly and foremost, what I want to offer is to do a reflection, or where are you now in terms of your annual goals. All right, so what has happened in the year so far, and how can that experience help you to make the strong finish to this year? Now, what I just want to offer here also is that I don't want you to get too caught up in this step, right? I don't want you to now go and spend days reflecting and thinking and deep diving. You always want to keep in mind, how is this process, this reflection process, going to help me have a smashing Q4? That's the idea behind, right? Reflection process is also not a moment when you blame yourself, shame yourself, criticize yourself. This is not the approach that I want you to approach this step 1 from. But the approach that you are going to take, and that I invite you to take, is, how can this help me, right? How did this make me a stronger, a better person? And how am I going to use these experiences and learnings to create amazing results for myself and others around me? So this is the approach, right? So we're not shaming, we're not criticizing, we're being kind to ourselves here, right? And we're objectively reflecting on what has happened so far in this year. Okay, now a simple 3-step process is, what has worked so far? Okay, what didn't work? And what did I learn and I can do differently in Q4? Now, a very important part here that, again, we need to keep in mind is you want to be specific. Okay, so for example, what worked? I had a great Q1 is not specific. What does it mean? All right. So you always, whenever you give an answer, you want to ask yourself, you want to clarify with yourself, what does that mean? Okay, because more specific you are, better and easier it's going to be for you to go through other steps. And it's going to be more helpful and more valuable. right? Feedback, because this is essentially feedback, needs to be specific and very clear, very concise for it to be valuable. Because as long as you're confused, as long as you're vague, you're not going to be able to take effective action steps. That's just how it is. All right. So be specific with yourself, really take a moment to deep dive, always keeping in mind, how is this helpful for me now when moving forward? You can essentially do this exactly same process with your team. If you're managing a team, right, you can go through all these steps with them too. But before, do it for yourself, right? You want to lead by an example, right? So you don't want to go through this process with your team before you have done it with yourself. That's very, very important as well, okay? Step 1 can be found in your workbook. Go through your workbook. I'm leading you exactly step by step on how to do this for yourself individually. Okay, so print out the workbook and really make sure to write these things down. This is so, so important. This is essentially, this reflection process is the foundation for now planning ahead. Okay, and this is something, just on a side note, this is something, what worked, what didn't work, what did I learn and can do differently, is something you can do every single week, right? I do this, for example, every single week. So I reflect on how did my week go, what worked, what didn't work, what did I learn and can do differently next week, and then I move to the next week, and then next week, next week, right? You can, of course, go deeper in this, but for the sake of this training today, let's stick with these 3 main questions. All right? Okay, step 2. So now that you have your reflection, now that you know what worked, now that you know what didn't work, what you learned and can do differently, we want to move to step 2, which is setting your Q4 goal plan. Or actually goal, no plan, just ignore the plan. Plan is step 3. Okay, so we want to identify, where do you wish to be at the end of the year? Right? So what is that you want to achieve? What is the goal? And now here, as I mentioned before, as you heard me probably saying, is you don't want to have 20 goals, right? Let's limit them. Let's limit them to 3 main big goals that you want to achieve by the end of the year. Because again, you don't want to overwhelm yourself. You don't want to be stressed out before you have even started working on your plans. You need to be excited about your plans. You need to be look forward to your plans. You need to be like, yeah, cannot wait to get there. All right. And not like, oh no. Okay. So always keep that in mind. Your goals need to excite you. And it's your job to get yourself excited. It's not your goal's job to make yourself, to get you excited. It's your job to get yourself excited about your goals. Okay. Now, once you have your what, which is very specific, something that you can measure and something that is realistic to be achieved in the next 3 months, you want to ask yourself, why is that important? Why is that important to you? Why is that important to your team? And why is that important to your business? Okay, because sometimes what I see is individuals setting goals, and then when we are at the point of, okay, why is that important? They're like, I'm not sure. Now, why so essential that you are sure about? Because why is going to be the driving force for you in those moments when you start doubting yourself, when you start being like, nah, I don't want to do it today, right? Why is basically your motivation, is your boost. It's what's going to, give you that kick. So you want to make sure that your why is so important, like so straightforward, so clear. Okay? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you want to achieve those goals? How will these goals help you become a better person? How are these goals going to help your team become better, your business become better, right? Remember, we are talking only about career here. Okay? So why is that important? How will your life change by achieving those goals? All right, or your career. The next process, the next step in this step 2 is who, and this is something that is so often forgotten when setting goals, is that who do you need to be to achieve those goals, right? And what I mean by that is, what do you need to think? What do you need to feel? What do you need to do to get there? Right? So you as a person, so what you can do here is that you can imagine who is your future you, right? So who are you in 3 months time? Okay, so how are you different to whom you are today? So you're basically imagining your future self, and what is that future you thinking, feeling, and doing that made your future you be there in the future? You know what I mean? I got a bit like a lot of future, but you get the point, right? Like, so who do you need to be to get to where you want to be? And you want to start doing that now, right now. You don't need to wait, right? You need to think, feel, do every single day, just as your future you would be doing and feeling and thinking, okay? You want to check the workbook again for this. I have broken down this who part because this who part is so important. I have broken it down even further in the workbook. So you want to go into the workbook and you want to go and answer these questions. Remember, you want to be specific and clear about your answers. All right? Now let's look into the how, which is step 3, creating a plan. So now how I like to set the goals in general, right? And how I teach my students, my clients, how to do that is by looking at the big picture. So in this instance, we're looking at Q4, all right? And we now want to break it down into more manageable and more kind of tangible steps, all right? So we have now your Q4, and now what we do, we want to ask yourself the following questions. What do you need to achieve each month? So at the end of October, at the end of November, and at the end of December, essentially, to get to your Q4, right? So we have quarterly goal. Now we're breaking it down to a monthly goal. The next step now is, what do you need to achieve each week to get your monthly goals, right? So what do I need to do at the end of each, or what do I need to achieve at the end of each week in October to get to my October goal? What do I need to achieve on the by the end of each week in November to get to my November goal, and so forth, all right? Now we want to break it even further. What do I need to achieve every day to get to my weekly goals? Okay? And in order for me to get to my weekly goals, what are my priorities? What is my to-do list? So see what we did? So we started with the big picture in mind, and then we broke it to monthly, weekly, and daily basis, and then essentially hourly basis, because to-do list, priorities. Okay, just to give you a tip, I use Notion app, which is incredible. That's my second brain, essentially. All right. And this is where I do all my goal setting, to-do list, prioritizing, and so on and so on. You can check it out. All my clients use it, and the feedback from all of them has been amazing. So you want to go and check it out. If you don't have a system in place to help you with your to-do list, prioritizing, goal setting, and so forth, you can check it out. It's called Notion. All right. And it's so amazing because you can use it on your computer, but also on your phone. And I'm talking so much about Notion all the time. I think they should take me as a sales representative. Okay, anyway. Now, another thing that I want you to reflect here on, right? Like, and that is that very often, or it's 100%, that certain things that you are doing already are already useful to you, okay? Likewise, certain things that you're doing are not useful to you. So if you reflect currently on your behaviors or on your daily habits, you can think about what can you do more of that you're doing now that has been working, that's going to help you get to your goals, right? What can you do less of that you're doing right now that is not going to help you get to your goals? What do you need to stop doing, and what do you need to start doing instead? Now, this last part, what do you need to stop doing, what do you need to start doing, right? Like when we're changing a behavior, we're not just stopping to do something, but instead we need to always find a replacement. So if you want to stop doing something that's currently not serving you, you want to ask yourself, what can I stop doing instead? Okay, so for example, if you want to stop using your phone so much, you want to say, okay, I'm not going to use my phone that much, but instead I'm going to be writing down my ideas on a piece of paper, for example, and do some brainstorming by myself. Okay, instead of scrolling through social media, for example. All right. So every time you're stopping to do something, you need to be thinking, what do I want to start doing instead? Okay. Again, you want to go to your workbook now, and you want to answer these questions for yourself. You want to break them down. You want to be very, very, very specific about it. Okay. And the step 4 is something that we also often forget, and that is you want to put accountability system in place, right? How are you planning to hold yourself accountable to your commitments and to your goals? How will you hold your team accountable? How will your team hold themselves accountable, right? You want to think about what obstacles might come in your way that are going to prevent you on your way to achieving your goals. And what are you going to do about those? Now, of course, we cannot predict everything. We cannot know everything that's going to come our way, but you have already a generic idea of what can happen. So you want to anticipate those things. You want to write them down. You want to have a plan for those things so that once they happen, that you don't have to spend your time and energy thinking about them right there and then, because you have already thought about it. So you just go into the action mode. You go into the, solving mode, solution mode. All right. So one way, for example, to keep yourself and your team accountable is by having regular meetings and thinking how you can track progress. Now, I gave you already the way how you can track progress by asking yourself 3 simple questions. What worked? What didn't work? What can I learn? What did I learn? And what can I do differently? This is, for example, the way you can track the progress. Now, you want to think, do I want to have one-on-one meetings with my team or with my boss? Do I want to have group meetings with my team and my boss? Right? How do I want to make sure? Do I want to have email correspondence? Right? You want to think about what is the system that you want to put in place to really make sure you keep each other accountable. Now, I put here another thing, and this is something that really will help you keep yourself accountable, and you can teach your team and colleagues that too. And this is this idea of switching from I have to do something to I want to do something. It sounds just so much more powerful, right? So when you're switching from I have to I want to, what's happening is that you're bringing power back to you. Okay. But in order to truly bring the power back to you, you want to say, right, I want to do that. And then you want to answer why I want to do that. Because I'm going to gain more skills, because I'm going to learn something new, because that's going to be an extra step in my career, because I'm going to help my team, because, right? So I have to do to, I want to do, and then why you really want to do it. Okay. You want to again check your workbook. You're going to be able to create your accountability systems if you go into the workbook and do the work. All right. And then lastly, what I want to talk to you about here is find an external support. Having an external partner who has nothing to do with your job, with your team, with your boss, and someone who can serve as an extra set of eyes and ears for you. And now I want to talk about how I can help you. All right. So I'm currently filling up the remaining space for my one-on-one coaching program, where it's just you and me, one-on-one, meeting once per week for 12 weeks, where you receive a customized coaching support throughout the whole process. So we're going to do the whole process that I taught you here today together and more, right? And then I'm going to be there with you every single step of the way through all ups and downs that are going to come, because they always come, right? Because at the beginning, we are super excited about our goals. We are all in. And then maybe first obstacle comes up or doubts, right? Your brain starts offering all sorts of thoughts. So I'm going to be there every step of the way, right? Firstly, in 60-minute weekly sessions, and then you have access to me through Voxer. Voxer is something like WhatsApp, so we can be in touch via Voxer as well, right? So what I'm going to essentially help you is to make clear and specific decisions and stick with them. Because often we make decisions, but then we change that decision and change and change and change. And of course, it doesn't bring desirable results, because we need to stick with it. Okay. We're going to map out plan and strategy to your goals, just like I taught you today, a bit even deeper, a bit even more in depth. And you're going to know exactly what you need to do and have confidence. You will have tools. You will have creativity and resourcefulness to do it. All right. So if you're interested to learn more about how you can work with me one-on-one, you can book a free consult call. So basically, it's a call in which we're going to have a chat about where you're at, where you wish to be, and really assess together if we are a fit to working together. And if we are, we go. All right. You can send me an email at sandra@approachyourcoach.com. You can comment below, or you can send me a message, whatever works best for you. All right, so I hope this was helpful. I want to invite you once again to really go thoroughly through this process, do the work. It's an investment in yourself, in your goals, in your future, all right? Go through the workbook that is leading you every single step of the process. If you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you have any worries, feel free to reach out to me. I look forward to hearing from you, all right? Speak to you soon. Have fun with this. Bye.